This video is about Thor descends into Asgard's Welkin to challenge Fenrir, but Loki betrays. If this myth excites you, please like the video, share it with friends, and write in the comments how it pulled you into the adventure. In the twilight of the Nine Realms, as the last rays of sunlight faded into the tapestry of night, a foreboding cloud hung over Asgard. The golden skies glistened in the dim glow of the waning moon, yet a restless wind whispered secrets of impending doom. Thor, the mighty god of thunder, stood on the balcony of Valhalla, his heart heavy with the weight of prophecy. Fenrir, the monstrous wolf bound by the gods since the dawn of time, had broken free from his chains. The echoes of his growls reverberated through the mountains, sending shivers down the spines of even the most valiant warriors. Odin, all-father and keeper of fate, had foreseen this day. The wolf shall rise and bring ruin upon Asgard, he had warned. His voice grew as the runes trembled at his feet. On this day, I will confront Fenrir, Thor proclaimed to the assembly of gods, his blue eyes aflame with determination. I will not let his fury consume our home. He tightened his grip on Mjolnir, the enchanted hammer that has seen him through countless battles, its surface glistening with the essence of storms yet to come. Beware, my son, Odin cautioned, stepping forward with a frown that deepened the furrows of his brow. Fenrir is not merely a beast, he is a force of chaos, born of betrayal and darkness. Even I cannot predict the outcome of a clash between the two of you. Thor met his father's gaze, a mixture of love and defiance swelling within him. I am no mere mortal, father, I will vanquish him or die trying. The air thickened with tension, and the gods murmured amongst themselves, their worry palpable. But amidst the throng, a figure cloaked in shadows moved closer. Loki, the god of mischief, his smile as slippery as the night itself, approached Thor with feigned innocence. Mighty Thor, how bold you are to challenge the very embodiment of destruction, he said, his voice honeyed with deceit. But you will need more than brute strength. Allow me to assist you in this noble endeavor. Thor narrowed his eyes, recalling the countless games Loki had played with the fates of gods and men. What is your price, trickster? Or do you seek to twist my quest into your amusement? Ah, my dear brother, Loki replied, stepping back with an exaggerated flourish. It is not always about trickery, sometimes it is about survival. You would do well to have me at your side, lest you find yourself overwhelmed by the beast. With a reluctant nod, Thor accepted Loki as aid, despite the voice in his heart warning him of the treachery that lingered like a shadow. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the two gods ventured into the depths of Asgard'S, Welkin, an ethereal realm where the woven threads of fate shimmered against the backdrop of the universe. As they descended, they passed through the shimmering veil of stars, where the echoes of ancient battles played like a haunting melody. Valkyries soared through the skies, their wings shimmering under the celestial light, while the spirits of fallen warriors sang songs of honor. Yet with every beat of Thor's heart, the weight of dread grew heavier. Suddenly, the tranquility shattered. A great tremor shook the realm as Fenrir's howls pierced the night. The ground quaked beneath their feet, and the sky darkened, swirling with ominous clouds as thunder rumbled in the distance like a war drum. By the god! Thor exclaimed, gripping Mjolnir tightly. He draws near. With a flick of his wrist, Loki conjured a flickering flame, illuminating the path ahead. Stay close, brother. The wolf has tasted blood and thirsts for more. Yet as they ventured deeper into the heart of the darkness, Loki's gaze flickered with a glint of mischief, masking the treachery brewing in his mind. As they neared the ancient altar where Fenrir waited, the air thickened with an electric charge. A wolf was a colossal figure, a creature of nightmares, with eyes that burned like molten gold. His fangs gleamed in the dim light, dripping with the essence of chaos, while his roar mingled with the thunder echoing through the realm. Thor, son of Odin! Fenrir bellowed, his voice a chilling growl. Come forth and meet your doom. Your arrogance has led you here, shackled by your honor. He lunged forward, his massive frame propelling him through the air with ferocity. Thor's heart thundered in his chest as he brandished Mjolnir, calling forth the might of stones. I am no coward, Fenrir. I shall not cower before a beast born of darkness. The clash of thunder accompanied his battle cry, and as he held his hammer, lightning crackled around him like a living entity. But the moment was disrupted. Loki, cunning and treacherous, whispered a spell into the wind, and seeing to Thor's eyes. Let the tides of fate shift, he muttered, a slight grin curling upon his lips. As Mjolnir soared toward Fenrir, a dark mist enveloped it, twisting the hammer's trajectory away from the beast. Thor's eyes widened in horror as his trusted weapon veered off course, crashing into the ground with a shower of sparks. Loki, he roared, but betrayal had taken root, and the god of mischief merely chuckled, reveling in the chaos. Fenrir seized the opportunity, his massive jaws snapping at Thor, who barely dodged the attack. "You are weak, Thunderer," Fenrir taunted, the words laced with mockery. "Your trust is your greatest flaw." The wolf lunged again, and Thor narrowly avoided being crushed beneath the weight of his foe. Heart pounding, Thor scrambled for his hammer, but Loki stepped between them, a barrier woven from dark magic. "Forgive me, brother," Loki said, his voice cold. "But you must learn that fate is not always in your control. The throne awaits a new ruler." With a roar of fury, Thor called upon the storm within him, channeling the tempest as he felt the betrayal seeping into his bones. "You will pay for this treachery," he yelled, raising his hand as bolts of lightning crashed around him, illuminating the darkness. Just as the storm enveloped Loki, Fenrir's monstrous howl broke through the cacophony. "Come forth, face me," he roared, and the ground shook with his challenge. Thor, fueled by rage and betrayal, broke through the barrier, rushing toward the wolf, determined to reclaim his destiny. Thor charged forward, Mjolnir finally in his grasp, and as lightning danced at his fingertips, he struck Fenrir with the force of 1,000 storms. The blow reverberated through the air, sending shockwaves that rattled the very foundation of Asgard. But Fenrir was not easily vanquished. He retaliated with a swipe of his claw, catching Thor in the side, sending him crashing against the ancient stones. Pain surged through him, yet he rose, more determined than ever. "I will not yield," he shouted, summoning the strength of all the gods who had come before him. With every ounce of his being, Thor called upon the storm, channeling the fury of thunder and the wrath of the heavens. The skies roared in response, lightning arcing like serpents through the night air. For Asgard, he bellowed, unleashing the full might of Mjolnir. Loki, watching from a distance, sensed the tide turning. The wolf was powerful, but Thor's ferocity could not be underestimated. A flicker of doubt crossed his mind had he miscalculated the outcome of his betrayal. As the battle raged, he found himself at crossroads, torn between chaos and the love of his brother. But Fenrir would not be swayed. With a furious howl, he charged at Thor once more, and the two titans clashed, lightning illuminating their struggle. With every strike, the ground beneath them cracked, the very fabric of reality bending under the weight of their wrath. In that moment, amid the chaos of battle, Thor realized that destiny had woven their fates together in an intricate tapestry of honor, tragedy, and sacrifice. Whether he emerged victorious or met his end at the jaws of the beast, one truth burned brightly in his heart: he would fight for his home, for honor, and for those he loved. As the first light of dawn crept over Asgard'S horizon, the battle raged on, and the echoes of their clash reverberated through the cosmos. In the heart of this epic war, the bonds of brotherhood would be tested, and the threads of fate would weave their tales of victory and loss, defining the realms for eternity. With a deafening roar, Thor and Fenrir collided once more, their clash echoing against the celestial tapestry of Asgard'S Welkin. The air crackled with tension, the weight of destiny hanging heavy like a storm cloud pregnant with rain. Thor felt every muscle in his body straining against the ferocity of the wolf, each strike reverberating through him like the boom of thunder. "Is this the best you can do, Thunderer?" Fenrir sneered, blood dripping from his maw after their last exchange. "I anticipated a challenge more worthy of my time." His golden eyes glinted with malice, and his size alone made Thor feel like a mere mortal. "Words fuel your arrogance, beast," Thor shouted, raising Mjolnir high above his head, lightning coursing through it like the lifeblood of the storm. "But I will show you the might of Asgard." With a primal yell, he swung Mjolnir, unleashing a bolt of blinding light that tore through the darkness, striking Fenrir squarely in the chest. The force of the blow staggered the wolf, sending him reeling back. "You think that will stop me?" Fenrir growled, shaking off the shock. "Your hammer is but a toy in the hands of gods, and I am the harbinger of doom." He lunged again, hungry for vengeance, jaws snapping dangerously close to Thor's face. Dodging to the side, Thor barely avoided becoming Fenrir's next meal. "No beast shall decide my fate," he roared. The ground trembled as he conjured another surge of power, channeling the rage and grief of countless warriors who had fought for Asgard. Fallen. With a flash, he struck Fenrir again, this time aiming for the beast's leg. The wolf howled in fury, the sound reverberating through the night, sending waves of dread through the hearts of the gods watching from the safety of Valhalla. Yet amid the tumult, Loki's presence loomed like a dark cloud, his treachery a shadow over the battlefield. "Did you really think I would allow you to triumph so easily, brother?" Loki's voice emerged from the shadows, smooth as silk yet laced with venom. The god of mischief was weaving another spell, dark energies swirling around him like a tempest. "You are blinded by your honor, and that will be your undoing." Thor, gritting his teeth, turned his gaze to Loki, who was now weaving the air with hands that glimmered with dark magic. You dare challenge your own blood? Blood means little when destiny calls. Loki's eyes danced with mischief, revealing the chaos brewing beneath his facade of brotherly love. I shall help you, but on my terms. Accept your fate and submit. Let the darkness claim you, and the throne shall be ours. Yours. Thor's voice dripped with contempt. You think I would ever bow to chaos? You're a coward, Loki. The thunder of their battle momentarily hushed, and Loki's laughter echoed like icy wind through the gloom. Then it seems I must teach you that survival is a game played by those willing to embrace the shadows. With a flick of his wrist, Loki unleashed a swarm of shadowy tendrils that snaked toward Thor, seeking to ensnare him. Feel the betrayal of your own kin. As the tendrils reached out, Thor felt a shiver race down his spine, a sense of dread pulling in his gut. You will not take me, brother, she bellowed, summoning the storm within. With a mighty swing of Mjolnir, he shattered the tendrils, sending shards of dark magic scattering like fallen leaves. But Fenrir, emboldened by Loki's interference, charged at Thor with renewed fury. You fight against the inevitable. Thunder, the end is nigh. With no time to waste, Thor braced himself, channeling every ounce of his power into Mjolnir. I will not yield, he shouted back, and with a deafening cry, he hurled the hammer at Fenrir with all his might. The weapon struck true, slamming into Fenrir's side with the force of 1,000 storms, sending shockwaves that rippled through the ground. The wolf howled in pain, staggering back. Yet the beast was relentless, his rage fueling him to rise once more. Is this how you defy me? Fenrir growled, baring his fangs. Your strength is fading, Thunder, and soon, this realm will witness your demise. Thor's muscles burned as he struggled to keep his stance firm. Then let this be your last howl, he roared, raising Mjolnir one final time. Lightning sparked and ignited the sky, illuminating the battlefield with a brilliance that sent shadows fleeing. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. The world around them blurred as Thor focused solely on Fenrir, a singular thought burning bright in his mind: honor. Honor bound him, not merely to Asgard, but to every warrior who had ever stood against darkness. As Fenrir lunged once more, Thor captured the storm, unleashing it in a blinding flash. The bolt of lightning struck the wolf dead center, illuminating the darkest corners of their conflict. The shock sent Fenrir flying back, crashing against the ancient stones that had stood witness to the legends of old. Yet even as victory seemed within his grasp, Thor felt a pang of despair. Loki's betrayal gnawed at him, an insidious reminder that not all battles were fought with weapons. With each howl Fenrir released, Thor sensed that dark magic was taking a toll on his very spirit. Fight it, Thor, he heard a distant voice echo a memory of Odin, urging him to remember the strength of their lineage. Together we prevail. Fueled by his father's words, Thor took a deep breath, allowing the fury of the storm to wash over him. He had faced countless foes before, but never had he faced betrayal from within. I am Thor, he shouted, the battle cry to shake the heavens. With renewed vigor, he charged at Fenrir, summoning the very core of his being. The air thickened with energy as he smashed Mjolnir into the ground, unleashing a shockwave that resonated through the 9 realms. For honor, for Asgard. Fenrir, staggering but far from finish, lunged again, this time with the desperate ferocity born of pain. You will not win, he snarled, clawing at the air with lethal precision. Thor met him head-on, ready to sacrifice everything in defense of his home. As the two titans clashed, the very fabric of reality trembled, the fate of realms hanging delicately in balance. Mjolnir met Fenrir's claw, sending sparks of energy cascading like fireworks, illuminating the darkened skies. But in the midst of the chaos, Loki watched, uncertainty flickering behind his cold father. Would Thor's unwavering spirit prove stronger than his own treachery? As the battle raged, he felt a strange pull, a longing for the brotherly bond they once shared. Thor. Loki whispered, a hint of regret coating his voice. Yet before he could act upon it, Fenrir seized the moment. The wolf lunged, teeth bared, aiming for Thor's throat. In an instant, Thor reacted, raising Mjolnir and releasing a blinding bolt of lightning just as Fenrir lunged. The energy erupted in a cacophonous roar, igniting the night sky as the wolf's mouth closed around the hammer instead. The shock enveloped Fenrir, tearing into the beast's very essence. No, he howled, the sound echoing like a mournful dirge. This cannot be. With one final surge of energy, Thor summoned all he had left, channeling the storm into Mjolnir and striking Fenrir with a force so great it shook the realms to their core. A blinding light enveloped the battlefield, consuming both the wolf and Loki in its brilliance. In that moment, the treachery of the past exploded into light, and the bonds of brotherhood flashed before Thor's eyes. As the dust settled, silence fell over the Welkin. Thor, breathless and bloodied, fell to his knees, MJ Elner clattering beside him. The echoes of battle faded into memory, and the weight of betrayal lifted as he grasped the truth of sacrifice. In that moment of triumph, there was no joy, only the bitter taste of loss and honor. Loki, he whispered, "What have you done?" As the light dimmed, the shadows began to recede, and Thor looked upon the remnants of this struggle. The realm lay cracked and tumultuous, but his heart swelled with the knowledge that he had fought for honor, for Asgard. And somewhere beyond the horizon, he felt the presence of his father, whispering that this was but one chapter in the eternal saga of the gods. But even as he rose, weary yet resolute, the darkness stirred once more. The threads of fate wove anew, and the echoes of betrayal whispered in the winds, promising that the tale of Thor and Loki was far from over. "Prepare yourself, brother," Thor murmured into the shadows, for he sensed that a far greater battle loomed on the horizon. The morning sun rose slowly over the remnants of battle, bathing the shattered landscape in a golden hue, yet the victory felt hollow. Thor, weary but unyielding, staggered to his feet amidst the debris of what had once been a sacred battleground, his heart heavy with the weight of betrayal and sacrifice. MJ Elner lay beside him, slightly smoldering but still pulsing with the remnants of divine energy. "Where are you, Loki?" Thor called, his voice echoing through the early silent expanse. The treacherous god had vanished into the shadows, his laughter still lingering in the air like a taunting spectre. The tension in Thor's chest tightened as he remembered how the very elements had danced to Loki's whims, warping fate and destiny against his will. With each step he took, the ground trembled beneath him, resonating with the ghosts of fallen warriors who had once fought valiantly to uphold Asgard'S honor. The valleys echoed with their cries, and the sky, once vibrant, now bore the scars of their struggle. Your betrayal carries consequences. Brother, Thor muttered under his breath, the guilt of what he had to do weighing heavily upon him. You were not merely a traitor, you were a brother lost to chaos. He clenched his fist around MJ Elner, feeling the pulse of thunder vibrating through him. As Thor steadied his resolve, he caught sight of a flicker in the distance, a shimmer of light emerging from the remnants of Fenrir. The wolf's colossal form lay defeated, yet Thor knew better than to assume the beast was vanquished. The essence of chaos lingered in the air, and he could feel the threads of fate weaving a new tapestry. Suddenly the guttural growl echoed from the shadows, drawing Thor's focus. Out from the darkness, a cloud of black mist coalesced, twisted and contorted, revealing the feral visage of Fenrir, now cloaked in an aura of pure rage. "You think you have won?" Fenrir snarled, his voice a low rumble that reverberated through the valleys. "You have merely delayed the inevitable." "Perhaps," Thor replied, raising MJ Elner, its power crackling back to life as the storm surged within him. "But I will not stand idly by while chaos reigns over Asgard. I will protect my home with every breath I have left." With a roar that split the heavens, Fenrir lunged forward, his massive jaws snapping dangerously close to Thor's face. The god of thunder dodged just in time, the wolf's fangs gnashing mere inches from where he had stood. "You cannot escape your fate." Fenrir bellowed, his eyes glinting with malevolence. Thor steadied himself, feeling the winds of Asgard swell around him as he called forth the storm. "Fate is forged by those who dare to face it," he declared, his voice rising above the tempest. He swung MJ Elner with fierce determination, lightning arcing from the hammer as he hurled it once more at the beast. The hammer struck true, but this time it did not pierce Fenrir's hide. Instead, it connected with a barrier of dark magic cloaked around the wolf, absorbing the blow. Fenrir smirked, his wounds knitting together as if mocking Thor's efforts. "You are but a pawn in a game far beyond your comprehension." A flicker of hope seemed to spark within Thor. "Then let me be the pawn that chooses to rise," he shouted defiantly. With every ounce of strength, he summoned the storm again, channeling the energy of the 9 realms. The skies darkened, clouds swirling in chaotic patterns, reflecting the turmoil in his heart. "Come then, Thunderer." Fenrir howled, his voice echoing amidst the thunderclaps. "Let us dance in the shadows and light." The wolf charged, a tempest of rage and power, and Thor braced himself, feeling the very earth tremble beneath his feet. The two titans collided in a cacophony of sound and fury, their bodies slamming together like two celestial bodies in collision. Lightning erupted around them, illuminating the darkness, yet Fenrir's sheer force sent Thor crashing into the stone, the wind knocked from his lungs. As he lay there, gasping for breath, memories flooded his mind, visions of laughter shared with Loki, the warmth of brotherhood that had once bound them together. "You are my brother." Thor whispered into the void, but the words were lost to the storm. Yet even in the depths of despair, a fire ignited within him. "I will not let you take Asgard," he cried out, summoning the last remnants of his strength. With a powerful swing, he called upon the thunderstorm, and as MJL connected with the ground, a shockwave pulsed outward, sending Fenrir staggering back. "Feel the might of Asgard," Thor shouted, charging forward once again. This time, he could feel the energy surging through him, every warrior before him empowering his strike. The storm roared in approval, and in that moment, he could almost hear Odin's voice echoing through the ages, urging him on. But Fenrir was not finished. With a furious roar, he lunged at Thor, who barely sidestepped the attack. "You seek honor, and yet you cling to your weaknesses," Fenrir accused, his voice dripping with contempt. "Your brother's treachery has drawn you to this path." "Loki's choices are not mine," Thor shouted back, determination flaring in his chest. "I am forged by my own will, and I will not let your darkness consume my home." In a blinding flash, Thor held MJL once more, the hammer arcing through the air, striking Fenrir with a force that shook the foundation of the 9 realms. The wolf howled, pain and fury intertwining, and for a brief moment, Thor believed he could see a flicker of fear in the beast's molten gaze. But then, amid the tumult, a shadow shifted. Out from the darkness emerged Loki, cloaked in a shroud of chaos, his eyes glimmering with mischief. "Dear brother, I thought you might need some assistance," he offered, his voice smooth yet laced with a chilling undertone. "Loki?" Thor growled, his heart sinking. "You dare show your face after your betrayal?" "Oh, let us not dwell on old grievances, Thor," Loki replied, a smirk playing at his lips. "Consider this an opportunity for reconciliation. I can help you defeat Fenrir and take control of what is rightfully ours." Thor's heart raced with conflicting emotions. "You think I would fall for your deceit again? I will not let you manipulate me, brother." But Loki, with swift grace, raised his hand, and dark tendrils of magic began to swirl around him. "Then let me show you the true power of our bond," he declared, the air thickening with his dark presence. "Beware, Loki!" Thor shouted as Fenrir seized the opportunity, lunging towards the momentary distraction with a ferocious snarl. "Your games will only lead to destruction." But Loki's laughter echoed, a haunting melody, as he flung his magic toward Fenrir, amplifying the shadows that bound the beast. "Embrace the chaos, let it consume you." Thor felt the energy shift, the storm faltering as darkness seeped into the very fabric of the battlefield. "No," he roared, slamming MJL against the ground, channeling every fiber of his being into resisting the darkness threatening to consume him. With a surge of raw power, he held himself between Loki's magic and Fenrir, defying the encroaching shadows. "He will not take us," he declared, and with an explosion of energy, he shattered the dark barrier binding the wolf. Fenrir staggered, howling in fury as the darkness recoiled. "You dare defy me, Thunder? You are but a fleeting moment against eternity. Then let eternity witness my resolve." Thor thundered back, charging forward, and MJL alight with the fury of the storm. He swung it down upon Fenrir, unleashing a torrent of lightning that illuminated the sky, blinding both beast and god. In that moment, Thor knew he was fighting not just for honor, but for the very heart of Asgard. With each strike, he felt the weight of every warrior as sacrifice, their spirits urging him onward. "For my people," he roared, bringing the hammer down one last time. A blinding light enveloped the battlefield, an explosion of energy so immense it echoed through the realms, shaking the very foundations of existence. Fenrir howled, his form disintegrating as the storm consumed him, the very essence of chaos unraveled by the purity of Thor's resolve. As the light faded, silence followed, the echoes of battle replaced by an unnerving calm. Thor, panting and battered, fell to his knees, MJL clattering beside him once more. The remnants of Fenrir lay scattered, the darkness dissipated, but the feeling of loss lingered like an unshakable shadow. Thor looked up to see Loki standing at a distance, a mixture of regret and defiance etched across his face. "You have won this battle, brother, but the war continues," he said, his words heavy with the... As the echoes of victory faded, the battlefield lay drenched in a surreal stillness. Thor knelt upon the scorched earth, and MJL resting beside him, its once raging storm now a tranquil hum. The sun hung low in the sky, casting long shadows over the remnants of Fenrir, the monstrous wolf whose howls had once reverberated like thunder in the hearts of gods and men. The air was thick with the scent of charred earth and the lingering taste of despair, a bittersweet reminder of the price paid for honor. Yet amidst the silence, a deeper shadow loomed. Loki stood apart, his figure silhouetted against the fading light. The god of mischief, clad in emerald and shadow, appeared both menacing and forlorn. You have won this battle, brother, he said, his voice a haunting melody punctuated by the rustle of the wind. But the war continues. Thor's heart surged with conflicting emotions, a tempest of anger, hurt, and an inexplicable longing for the bond they once shared. You think this is a game, Loki. I fought for our home, for our honor, and yet here you stand, cloaked in your deceit. He rose slowly, leaning heavily on Mjolnir. His body ached from the battle, but his resolve burned brighter than the dawn. Deceit? Loki's laugh was sharp, a dagger in the fragile piece. Ah, brother, you misunderstand. I sought only to help you understand your true power. The world is chaos, Thor, and you must embrace it, wield it. His words echoed with the dangerous allure, tempting yet treacherous. I will not yield to chaos. Thor thundered, stepping forward, his voice carrying the weight of 1,000 storms. What you call power is but a facade, a mask you wear to hide your cowardice. His words hung in the air, thick with emotion, each syllable laced with the pain of betrayal. Cowardice? Loki sneered, his eyes narrowing. You fail to grasp the game we play. You stand there, a bastion of honor, and yet you are blind to the very shadows that surround you. Honor is a fleeting thing, brother, but power is eternal. Power that consumes all, leaving nothing but ruin in its wake. Thor's fist clenched around Mjolnir, every fiber of his being igniting with frustration. You speak of power as if it is a gift, yet you wield it like a dagger against those you claim to love. You are lost, Loki. You are a shadow of what you could have been. In that moment, a flicker of vulnerability crossed Loki's face, swiftly masked by his usual bravado. And what of you, Thunderer, standing amidst the ashes of your own ambitions? The gods of Asgard will not forgive you for this, nor will they forgive me. Perhaps it is time to embrace the chaos we both fear. The ground trembled beneath them, a reminder of the ancient pact forged in blood and betrayal. Thor felt his heart race, the echoes of Fenrir's howl still haunting the recesses of his mind. This is not over, he warned, his voice steady, resolved. You may hide in the shadows, but I will hunt you down, brother. You will face the consequences of your actions. Loki's smile faltered for the briefest moment, the tension between them palpable as the blue sky darkened with gathering clouds. Then let the hunt begin, dear brother, but know this, the darkness that binds me also binds you. The fates weaved our threads together, and at the end of the day, our destinies are entangled. With a flick of his wrist, Loki vanished into the shadows, leaving Thor alone amidst the remnants of battle. The weight of his choice settled heavily upon him. He had vanquished the beast, yet the cost was far greater than he had imagined. The memory of their brotherhood lingered, flickering like a dying flame, and the sorrow of betrayal pierced him deeper than any wound. As the last rays of the sun dipped below the horizon, a storm began to brew, mirroring the turmoil within Thor's heart. Thunder rumbled ominously, and he knew in his very bones that this was just the beginning. Asgard would not remain unscathed. The war was brewing in the shadows, a tempest waiting to be unleashed. Days turned into weeks as Thor traversed the realms, seeking the truth behind Loki's machinations. The whispers of chaos echoed through the 9 realms, and with every step he felt the darkness gathering, twisting fate in its wake. He could feel the eyes of the gods upon him, their judgment heavy, each moment stretching into infinity. In the heart of Midgard, he encountered the remnants of battle, trails of darkness creeping across the land. The humans, once brave and valiant, now lived in fear of the monsters lurking beyond their doors. Thor found himself drawn to their plight, for he could not ignore the suffering his brother's actions had wrought. He descended into villages, fighting off marauding beasts that had escaped Fenrir's wrath, yet every clash left him feeling emptier, more isolated. One night, as he gazed at the stars peppering the sky, a figure emerged from the shadows. Mighty Thor, the woman's voice called, a blend of authority and desperation woven into her words. We need your help. The darkness spreads, and we cannot fend it off alone. It was a warrior maiden, her armor gleaming even in the dim light. Who are you? Thor asked, intrigued yet wary. I am Freyja, once of the Valkyries, now a warrior of the remnants. The darkness has consumed our home, and we seek to fight back. With your strength, we may still stand a chance against Loki's chaos. Thor felt a spark of hope ignite within him. Then I will lend my strength, Freyja. Together we shall rally those who still dare to fight. As they gathered an army of warriors, Thor felt the bonds of honor kindling within him. The remnants of battle had shaped them, forged them anew. They were more than warriors. They were family, united against the chaos threatening their homes. Days turned into nights as they trained, forging weapons blessed by the gods, honing their skills under the watchful gaze of the stars. Each warrior shared tales of loss and hope, their laughter mingling with the thunder that rolled in the distance. Thor felt himself transforming, no longer merely a god of thunder but a leader, a beacon of hope. Yet, as preparations for war unfolded, whispers of Loki's schemes reached their ears. He seeks not only power but revenge, Freyja warned one evening, her voice low. He may turn the very elements against us. No matter the odds, Thor replied, a fierce determination blazing in his eyes. We will face him together as one. As the sun rose on the day of reckoning, the warriors gathered at the edge of Asgard, the air thick with anticipation. The sky roared with thunder, a reminder of the storm brewing between the gods. Thor stood at the forefront, and Mjolnir raised high, his heart pounding with the rhythm of battle. Today, we fight not for ourselves, but for what we hold dear, he shouted, his voice echoing across the assembled ranks. We fight for the honor of Asgard, for the fallen, and for the bond that once united us. Together, we shall reclaim our home. With a thundering roar, the warriors surged forward, a tide of courage and defiance crashing against the darkness. As they approached the heart of chaos, the air crackled with energy, shadows swelling ominously as Loki emerged from the depths, cloaked in a veil of night. Ah, the noble Thor, leading the remnants of what was once Asgard. Loki taunted, his voice smooth yet dripping with malice. How quaint, you think you can defy destiny. You are but a pawn in a game far beyond your understanding. Thor stepped forward, Mjolnir gleaming with the brilliance of the storm. You may twist fate, Loki, but you will not break us. We stand united against your darkness. With a flick of his wrist, Loki unleashed a torrent of dark magic, tendrils snaking towards Thor and the warriors. But they stood strong, the collective power of their resolve emanating like a shield against the encroaching chaos. Thor led the charge, swinging Mjolnir and sending arcs of lightning surging through the dark tendrils, shattering them to pieces. The battle commenced, a maelstrom of light and darkness intertwining, with each clash resonating through the cosmos. The warriors fought valiantly, striking down the creatures birthed from Loki as chaos, but even as they pressed forward, the shadows were relentless. Loki danced through the chaos, his laughter ringing out like a haunting melody, a stark reminder of the bond they had shared. You fool, Thor, you think you can challenge me? I am the storm, the chaos, and I will consume everything. But Thor, fueled by the strength of his warriors, refused to waver. You may be chaos, but I am the storm that brings renewal. I will reclaim what is ours. As the battle raged, Thor found himself face to face with Loki, the tension crackling in the air like static. He could have been a god among gods, brother. Loki shouted,